So they do have this information at their hands already. And obviously, I mean, if like you say, they've tried to make it appear to be an independent process, but it was something the Conservatives wanted. This is to their advantage, these additional 30 ridings that they're creating. And we definitely have to go and pick through the old riding map, look at the new proposed boundaries, see if it has, like you said, it'd be interesting to see if we can find one area where it benefits either the Liberals or the New Democrats.
Exactly. Now, like you said, 11 of the 15 extra ridings are in the 905 belt. That's Conservative country, right? I'm up north of that. I'm a Conservative riding as well, but a close one. I see this, I perceive this, in all fairness, as something that will likely benefit the Conservatives. Now, how many extra ridings did Alberta get? Because those will be Conservative ridings too, right?
But definitely, except for two of them in Alberta. I think all but two are.
So when Alberta gets extra ridings, that just means Conservatives get extra.
That's
extra
6.
seats.
That one's for sure. 6 extra seats.
So I mean, and it relates back to what we were talking about before. Look at how the Conservatives are using their power to stack the deck, okay, in their favor for the next election. Who has what it takes to stand in the way of that in the next election? I personally can't really see any single party defeating them. I can't see it. Canadians are asleep at the wheel. The baby boomers are still in all of their demographic glory right now. Young people are not interested. I just really think we need to cooperate, because every time I think about how the Conservatives are using their power and using the process to stack the deck in their favor, I just really think that we have to do something to counter that. And cooperation is the only thing I can think of.
Yep, it's something that has to be done, and it's. I've been trying to go and look at the various ridings, which of course this proposal is going to make more difficult. But we need to look at ridings where voting Liberal or NDP can mean the difference of getting rid of a Conservative, but we also need to go and look and make sure that we stay on top of those ridings too, that Liberals and NDPs won, and are, because there are close ridings where the Conservatives came in second too. So not only do we have to win more ridings, we have to make sure we defend the proper ones. We really do have our work cut out for us in this next election cycle.
If anyone was going to take the time to wrap their heads around exactly how these ridings shape up, and who gets what advantage, it would be really cool to see a study done. If someone had a couple of solid weeks to go through the numbers, go through the boundaries, etc.
Yeah, if it was all collected together. But I think that even on a micro scale, I think that was basically the responsibility of these opposition riding associations in every riding at this point, is to go and pore over the information they have and look and be really honest with themselves. And in my riding isn't a great example, but there are ridings out there where people who are NDP are going to have to vote Liberal, and there's ridings where people are Liberals and they're going to have to vote NDP. Yep. And I mean, I hate to say it to the Green Party, but guys, you know what? This election cycle, just forget about voting Green. Look at your riding and pick an NDP or a Liberal, and you're doing the best thing you can do for the Green Party.
Yeah, I think it's fair to single out that party because they got one seat in about 4 or 5% of the popular vote, and now their budget's just been whacked by Stephen Harper. I think we could fairly say to every single progressive person that regardless of your party affiliation, just do the right thing and vote strategically, push for cooperation at the riding level, because your alternative is another 4 years of Stephen Harper after this. Do you really does your party loyalty allow you to stare down the barrel of that gun?
Considering that is what has driven us together, that's the one thing that was quite apparent there at this meeting, and I'm glad it didn't happen. But there's no point when we all get together to talk about cooperation to just bitch and complain about what Stephen Harper has done, because we all know that. Yeah. We know that he's horrible for this country, and that's what's motivating us.
Yeah.
I mean, so when we do get together and we talk about cooperation, we need to be reasonable. We need to look for functional ways. If we can't help in our own riding, let's help out other ridings. And if we all play our part, I think that we have a way better chance than if we all sit back, like you say, and just stick with our party loyalties.
Absolutely.
In this upcoming election cycle.
I agree with you 100%, my friend. And on that note, let's go to a track. How about ESG, Insane, the tambourine mix? That was ESG, Insane, tambourine mix. How you doing, Mike?
They got one more beat in on you.
Yeah, I know. They do that. That's what they do. It's what they do.
So,
Mike.
Just before we get to our last two main stories, one media criticism piece on Sun Media and our main piece on Trickle Down Economics.
I don't think we're going to criticize Sun Media. We're just going to mock the shit out of them, man. There's nothing.
Okay, well, that sounds good.
There's really nothing. Like we can't do a serious deconstruction of their message today. It's just too absurd. But as you were.
Well, I just wanted to say that a story we had covered previously was the Conservatives' attempt to put $2 million in the hand of a group called Canadian Relief for Syria, which was related to another group called Human Concern International. And of course, they said that they had been really careful in looking at this, and they weren't concerned, even though the Human Concern International had previous links to Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
Well,
and for those of and the guy who was running it was Ahmed Saeed Kader, who is Omar Kader's father.
Right. And even though the Conservative government was denying this, they have withdrawn the $2 million. But apparently, that Wednesday when the story broke, Post Media had said that the Conservatives had confirmed Canada was funding Canadian relief for Syria because it wanted to provide assistance directly to the Syrian rebels fighting to overthrow Bashir.
Mm-hmm.
So, the commentary that we were looking at, again, another issue where conspiracy theory seeps in the news, but it's not crazy.
No, it's just, okay, so our government is giving money to an organization that is funding the rebels and has Al-Qaeda ties. The rebels, we already know, have Al-Qaeda ties. This isn't, just because it's not reported by the mainstream media doesn't automatically make it a conspiracy theory. It's just fact. That's why it's my pet peeve, and that's why I brought it up at the beginning of the show. When people can't just immediately label something that they don't agree with as conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Anyway, why don't we move to the next thing here? We'll go to the eco-terrorism clip. As you know, Mike, we were going to talk about Sun Media's little poll they commissioned on whether or not Canadians are afraid of eco-terrorism. The eco-terrorism threat, so to speak.
The eco-terrorists are coming.
Yeah. They're coming to attack the poor, defenseless oil companies. So we better marshal our government resources to protect those poor, defenseless oil companies.
Absolutely. Maybe that's what people thought. Maybe they thought they were talking about the oil companies and just calling them eco-terrorists by mistake.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. If you call me up and commission a poll and you ask me if I'm concerned about anything blank threat, it's a threat. Yeah. How can you not be concerned about a threat, especially when you put terrorist in front of it? The terrorist threat. How do people know what eco-terrorism is? You know what I mean? Like, this is just a way to drum up, or to demonize things like the Sierra Club and poor environmentalists. You know what I mean? Anyway, here, let's listen to what Sun Media's got to say about all this crap.
Well, 1 in 2 Canadians worry about potential eco-terrorist attacks in Canada's energy infrastructure. That is according to a new poll by Abacus Data commissioned by Sun News Network. The poll shows 50% of those surveyed believe there is a high or moderate threat of an eco-terrorist attack. Well, 29% think there's a low threat. Another 20% think there's either no threat or they're unsure. When it comes to doing something about this threat, a majority of Canadians support the government taking action, put a stop to it. 6 in 10 Canadians surveyed said they would support having the RCMP and CSIS monitor environmental groups, and then over 50% support having armed guards at all major oil, gas refineries, power plants, and gas pipelines. The highest support coming from Conservative voters, seniors, and Albertans.
How do you like that?
Well, that's just crazy. It makes you wonder. I think back to our interview with Damon Gillis, and maybe all those Americans coming up won't be there to work on the pipelines. Maybe they'll be there guarding them.
Well, that's the thing. They're specifically seeking applicants with military experience to work on the pipelines. That's nothing to do with any conspiracy or anything like that. That's a fact. That's a reported fact in the media, right?
And I'm pretty sure that, because we'll admit here that Sun Media is doing a hype story here, that it's very unlikely that there will have to be any sort of military guards at refineries, because when you put their numbers together, low, no threat, or unsure also added up to 50%.
Yeah.
So
it's called social engineering. It goes a little bit beyond your average garden variety hype story. This is social engineering, and they have directed our democratically elected government to do something about this. They have said that 50% of the people or 60% of the people polled would be appreciative if the government would start monitoring, use CSIS to start monitoring environmental groups. And
it's another form of McCarthyism. I mean, that's what they're doing.
And start guarding the oil fields.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Reactionary. What other words can you attach to this?